All right, guys.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Leasing Highway, a podcast focused on the heartbeat of the apartment industry and brought to you by the Apartment Association of Metro Denver. I'm one of your hosts, Ian Andrews.
And hello, I'm Karen Gladney, one of your other hosts. And today we are super honored to be joined by Amie Robertshaw, VP of Operations for Echelon Property Group and President-elect for the Apartment Association. Amie, seriously, I mean that. So honored, so excited. And we'll turn it to you and let you just share your background, your story with everyone.
Well, thanks, guys. And I'm super honored to be here. Actually, I wish I was where Ian
right?
So more. But no, this is great. And what great company I've been in. I've watched a lot of the previous episodes and, it's been great. So, and it's always a pleasure talking with you too. So thanks so much for having me. And as you mentioned, I'm with Echelon Property Group currently. I'm the VP of Operations there, and I celebrate 8 years in January.
Oh, congratulations.
And it's crazy. Time flies. On one hand, I can't believe it's been 8 years, but I really don't remember a time before that. But believe it or not, my property management journey started 20 years ago. In college, I needed a job, and I really wanted to wait tables or bartend. I mean, that's what you do when you're in college. It's the cool job, but everybody wants the cool job. And I remember seeing this ad for a leasing consultant position. It was part-time, making $6.50 an hour, right? I was like, well, that doesn't sound cool at all, but I need a job. And so I took it. And I mean, literally the rest is history. I went from a part-time leasing consultant at this firm. It was called Paradigm Properties Management Team. They're still out there doing big things. And that's what I just got hooked instantly. I was going to school I wanted to be a psychologist. And I often say, I guess I still am. I guess I did it just in a different capacity, right? But I just started climbing the ranks from leasing consultant. I was a property manager by the time I was 21 years old. Because again, if you're in college and you can work full time, I feel like I was good at my job, but being able to work full time actually is super important when you're going to college. So got that opportunity. Ended up moving out to Colorado. I worked for them for a few years, ended up moving to Colorado on a total whim. The grass is always greener, they say, except for here, there's no grass. In Florida, there was plenty of grass, but I still wanted to move here, got a job with a small company at first, then moved to Alliance Residential, was with them for a few years, got exposed to the industry, realized just how big. In Gainesville, the industry is a little bit smaller. It's student housing, it's different. I didn't really recognize what I was doing, the industry, the career I had chosen until I moved out to Denver and saw our market.
Right.
And chance meeting with Lynette Brockman. She introduced me to Dan Levin. I worked for a while at Capital Real Estate, Ian, with your dad, Doug and Jeff and Dan Levin and Jason Wine, who was on your show a little while earlier. It was Capital Real Estate at the time, long before Avanti. Actually, your dad might have known Avanti was in his dreams, but we didn't know that. We were just 2,500 units, and we employed Echelon to manage those assets for us. So that's how I met the Echelon folks. And I think it's also when I realized that even though the asset management life was, oh gosh, I learned a lot, and I'm so thankful for that opportunity. Oh gosh, I learned so much in that time, but my heart is in operations. I miss being able to roll up my sleeves, be there with the people, really truly make an impact. And I think that kind of came to light to everybody, to me, to Dan, to everybody. And so I came back over to the operations side with Echelon. I was a regional manager overseeing the capital real estate portfolio. So they were all properties I was super familiar with. And like I said, that was 8 years ago. And in that time, Avanti became Avanti. They pulled management in-house. I diversified what I was doing and just kind of rolled up my sleeves, did whatever was needed of me. And I think 4 or 5 years ago, I was promoted to the VP of operations, and here I am. So wow. It all started with just a ad in the Alligator, the college newspaper, a little leasing consultant job, and that was it.
I love that. And you just, I mean, like so many others, you just have like such good perspective. And that's really what, makes people so great in this industry. Your time, like actually on those front lines at the beginning of this early age where you're scratching and clawing for that beer money. And then, later on where you're, have that exposure to the asset management side of things and really be able to understand the entire picture, but understand where your passion is it's just something that I think gives you such amazing perspective and why you're so good at what you do. And, on that note, want to toss you the question of what are those things that you think makes a company like Echelon successful?
I love that question. Drake and Brian, our principals, are two of the most amazing individuals. And I really believe that what makes a company successful is it all starts at the top, right? It's the top down. It's that leadership. And there is nothing that they would ask any one of their employees to do that they wouldn't do themselves. They are fully engulfed in the trenches. And that spirit of who they are has created who we are as an exec team and as a regional leadership team. And that trickles down to our on-site folks. And, I wouldn't say that we're a small company. I mean, we're 13,000 units in Denver, but there's companies that are bigger than us. And I know sometimes that can be challenging. We have the benefit of having everyone local. Every one of our employees is in Colorado. And so that makes it a little bit easier for us to be able to collaborate and to have that hands-on approach. But I really think that you can replicate that in any department, in any on-site team, anywhere. I mean, if you have leadership that is willing to dig in, collaborate, give their people a voice, that I think is probably the most important. Communication doesn't flow down. Communication flows both ways. We have a voice. And that spirit of collaboration is what makes us successful. And I think it's what would make any team successful, quite honestly.
Yeah, that's, talking about that collaboration is so huge. I think it also leads to culture, company culture. And, talk a little bit about that, Amie, and the importance of that company culture.
I think company culture is super important. But, everybody says they have the best culture. And to some degree, I do believe that. I mean, I will biasly say I think that we have the best culture out there, but I know other companies say that, and I believe them too. And it's the truth. Everybody has built a culture that is about them. It's about who they are and what's right for them. And there's no wrong, there's no right or wrong culture to have. So when we talk about importance of culture, I think what's most important is as an employer, finding a company that matches your values, the culture, the things that are important to you. Mm-hmm. And that goes both ways. I mean, and I know it's hard, especially now, we need to hire people, right? But it is super important to find people that match your culture, because no matter where you go, you're going to find great individuals doing great things with the best intentions. it's all a matter of matching up what's important to that employee and that employer, finding that connection. And that's really, to me, what's the most important element is finding your people and staying with your people, just that relationship, I think, is the most important element when we talk about culture.
I think it's an important point too. It's both ways. First, and it can only be both ways if you as a company understand what your culture is, right? And
Yes.
even if you have one team member, it's a one person company, there's culture there, and when you bring that next person on, and as you grow, that understanding what your culture is certainly powerful, to your point of being able for it to be a two-way street. And then for anybody out there, make sure you're interviewing those companies about their culture as much as they are you, for sure.
That it's so true. And Steve had touched upon it last week in his podcast about the values and how important company values are. And I do think that some companies don't, or sometimes they're just in the back burner. But if they're really, front and center and they're who you are, and as an employee what the values you need, it's easier to connect those dots. And then then it's easy. It's easy going forward.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's, also, just, I like how you say, like, there's not necessarily the right and wrong culture. They're really all unique and different. And it's really about finding, that culture that really fits with, the organization that you want to be a part of. And that's really when people can strive. So I love that perspective. Well, let's take a quick break here, and then we'll dive into a few more questions on the other side.
Welcome to your beautiful new apartment home here at Gables Point 14. As you can see, we're featuring this beautiful one-bedroom den.
Introducing Remote Lock Universal Access Control. Remote Lock lets you manage any lock, from smart locks to hardwired access control systems, securing every door from the main entrance to the rooftop patio. And you get to choose from the best top-of-the-line smart locks out there, from brands like Yale, Schlage, Kwikset, August, Mercury, and many more. Now you can configure and add access at the push of a button and set up customized schedules for each and every user, all within a matter of minutes. It even works with property management and booking software like Airbnb, Guesty, Entrata, RealPage, and more. With Remote Lock, you'll finally have a future-proof solution that controls all your properties around the world from a single, easy-to-use platform. Let Remote Lock be the last access control partner you'll ever need.
Welcome back. So, wanted to give you a question on some of the really an operations-based question here of looking at key performance indicators and really connecting those on-site teams to them. And so what do you see as the main key performance indicators for those on-site teams?
It's a good question. And I think that, especially now, right, we know that delinquency is important and retention is important and occupancy and reputation management, all those things are important. But I think truly at the end of the day, the number one KPI probably that I would look at is turnover, staff turnover, or lack of staff turnover, because I believe that turnover number directly correlates to the level of engagement. If a team member leaves because they're getting promoted within your company, they're moving on, doing bigger, better things, that's excusable, right? But if you have people leaving for different opportunities or just leaving, you're kind of always limping along if you have that revolving door. And when you're limping along, you can't focus in on all those other things. And when you have a team that is fully engaged, when you have leadership that is doing the right thing, and you're all committed and you're all there and you're showing up every day, and you're not being swayed away easily to other positions, you're happy, right? You're a happy team, and happy teams automatically hit delinquency numbers and they have good reputation management scores and the occupancy there and the retention is there because that's all it is, right? It's if you're there, you're happy, you're engaged, and you're doing the right things, then those retention rates will show that, and then everything else will tie to that. So I think that's super important, is that team element. And I think that's the indicator that if you've got a good, strong team in place. On that note, we just had our awards this year, and our winning team was a property that we've only had for about a year. Gosh, I wish I would know the number of team members. I want to say there's about 10 of them there. So a big staff. We've had that property for only a year. They hit every goal, every metric. They did everything right, but they had no turnover. So a whole staff, 10 deep, new property, a lot of challenges, and they had no turnover. And so it tied together. You have a team that doesn't turn over, you meet their numbers, and it just goes hand in hand. So
yeah. What a great example. And it's true, right? You get that cohesive team working together, all rowing in the same direction, right, as they say, and then you've got a high performing team. I always think of that Truckman stages of a team, and how even if you insert one new team member, you go back to that storming phase again. And so if you can stay in the performing and because you're all there and you're not having turnover, what a difference that makes. That's such a great point.
It truly does. Yeah.
So on the flip side of that, I guess a little bit from key performance indicators, what do you think we need to get better at as an industry?
I think that overall as an industry, outside of us in the industry, I think that people don't understand us, right? And I think that came to light a little bit. I mean, it's come to light a little bit with some of this legislative challenges that we're up against really during COVID. And I'm super sensitive to the situation of what everyone went through. But I was seeing friends, people I love, family members, crying, oh, we should halt evictions. We stop charging rent. And I'm like, I feel for those people. I do. But what I don't think that other people understand is that we are a multi-billion-dollar industry with millions of employees. I mean, I think on-site, last time I got a stat, it was 800 and something thousand people employed directly in our industry. But when you talk about, the developers, the suppliers, everybody else that thrives, I mean, the landscapers, the painters, everybody that thrives in our industry, we're talking millions of people. And so I think that a lot of people think of landlords as some wealthy guy in a nice suit drinking expensive scotch in some penthouse, just like, counting his dollar bills. And it's really not that. What we are is just people just like everybody else with bills to pay, with roofs over our head that we have to, and so I just think that we get this negative stereotype that we are greedy landlords and all we care about is the dollar. And it's not. There's so much to that dollar. NAA actually released something last year. It's that rent dollar, how much goes into that one rent dollar. Yeah. And I wish I had that at the ready, but it's interesting because so much of it is insurance and taxes and utilities. Mm-hmm. It's like I said, it's not some, wealthy guy on a yacht, right, laughing all the way home. So I just think as an industry, just sharing that and having people understand that we too are just an industry. Yes, we provide homes, and that's a very sensitive topic. And it's not one that we take lightly at all. And so it's just widening that perspective to those folks that aren't. It's funny when people ask me, what do I do for a living? And I say I'm in property management. I actually hate the question because I feel like I have to explain that. Well, I don't just take rent checks, right? Like there's so much more than that. And I just think that people don't understand that. And so I wish there was a way that, we could just get that message out a little bit more.
I think, it's so funny you bring that up. It's just like, especially through the pandemic and really, all time, I think what people don't realize is that everyone who gets into this industry generally really cares about residents and that experience, and that's why they're here. It's trust me, ask anyone, especially in operations, if they're there for the money. It's not it's not. It's because they have a passion for, truly helping people and making their lives better, and providing that essential need of shelter, and taking it one step forward, one step further, of really making into a full experience and living experience. And that's what really propels us, and not the, monthly rent check. I think that the monthly rent check is nice because, just like you said, this is an industry that, provides thousands and thousands of jobs across the country, and really is, the heartbeat of the economy itself. And people
100%.
can forget to remember that. So yeah, no, I agree. I think continuing to find a way as an industry to show people that other side is something that we need to really continue to do. So another question here for you. You're the president-elect for the Apartment Association, which is super exciting. But for you, what excites you most about getting to lead our membership here in the AAM?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I am so excited for a number of reasons. I've now been on the leadership team. This is my 4th year. And I'll be flat out honest. When I first started, I did it a little resistantly. Drake kind of gave me a nudge, and I had no idea what to expect. And kind of shame on me, right? I had no idea what to expect, and I wasn't super excited about it. And my mind has been blown. The number of people, great people, the networking opportunities, just what I've learned about our industry from the inside out, what I'm exposed to has been so rewarding. And I didn't know that. And I think that is lost on a lot of people as well, that there's so much more beyond, the trade show, that it's not just that it's so much bigger. And the number of volunteers and the hard work that not only the staff puts in, but the volunteers and all these people that devote their time to make our industry. We talked a lot. I know the numbers, go back and forth, but the 6th or 7th largest industry. I mean, it takes a village of people to do that. And so I think for me, what excites me is, one, being exposed to that, and then hopefully having a position of influence where I can help expose that to others and share that with others. And all you have to do is just be on the leadership, and you have a voice, you have influence. And so just getting that far is huge. But of course, that role of, being on the executive board and being president just gives, just one more step up, like one more platform to just try to share that passion. I mean, I hope what I want people to know when they meet me or see me is that I love what I do. I'm so passionate about not only what I do, but what you do and what we all do in the industry. It's like we're one big family, and I love that. And so I love that I have the opportunity to hopefully share that passion and influence others. And even if I can get 1 or 2 people out there somewhere to say, oh, I want to do that, I want to go down that path too, and I want to contribute at that level, then I feel like I've succeeded. So,
Amie, you can for sure feel your authentic passion for the industry. There's no question. It's just refreshing to be around you and listen to you talk about the industry and your path and everything. So thank you for that. Let's take one more last break, and then we'll come back and get a little personal with Amie. Okay, welcome back. Well, to have been on a 20-year passionate journey, I'd imagine you've had some pretty amazing mentors and influencers. Talk a little bit about who those people are for you.
Well, I absolutely have to give credit to Judy, my senior VP, Judy Blaze. She is, oh, I don't want to get emotional, but she's one of the best things that ever happened to me. She's a great lady. And she has taught me so much about leadership, and she set me on a great path. And there's been several other people. It's funny. It's kind of almost creepy. I don't even think Meredith knows this, because I know Meredith Wright fairly well. I don't know if she knows that she was an influencer to me, but I remember her as president. And I was just a little girl sitting in a chair at like a tributes or a trade show, and just thinking her and watching her and thinking, wow, I want to grow up and be like Meredith Wright, And so she influenced me without even really recognizing that. And Lynette has, seen things in me, and, she's just been a great mentor. She's someone I can call for advice whenever I need. But truly, if I'm being honest with you, I think the people that have influenced me the most, oddly enough, are those that I didn't really, there were supervisors that I didn't really click with or care for. And in their own way, they taught me what not to be, what not to do, not how to treat people or lead teams. And they gave me, it was necessary for me to fight through some challenging situations or some adversity, or to prove maybe my worth that they didn't see or didn't recognize. And I feel that made me so much stronger in the end. So it's, I've had some really dynamic people that have been, right there in the front lines, teaching me all the right things, but it's also the people that taught me the wrong things that I think helped me, I guess, make me a little bit more well-rounded, I guess. So
that's great.
I won't name those names though.
It's, how cool though to be able to pull something from that's pulling something from every situation.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think every experience it takes you to the next one. And if you don't glean from that, there's something in every opportunity, good or bad. And it's up to you to find it. And if you find it, then you have no choice but to grow from it. Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a couple more questions here. One we've got to do here in honor of Thanksgiving week. What are you grateful for?
Oh gosh. Well, obviously friends and family and my kids. Gosh, I love those little kids, even though they drive me crazy sometimes. But you know what, right now, actually, I'm really thankful for this weather. And I know there are some snow freaks out there, but I am a Floridian girl through and through. And the fact that we have hit some sort of climate jackpot, and it's like the longest streak of no snow. I know we need water and there's drought issues and all that. And I'm really, I'm just a happy girl because there's no snow outside. So. Very thankful for this really unique, rare weather.
That's a great way to describe it. Jackpot or whatever else. All right. Well, I got to know, when you're not at work, Amie, because you work your tail off, but when you're not at work, where are you most likely to be found?
Okay. So, I do love the outdoors. I think, I think it's very obvious. I spend a lot of time. I love the water, the reservoirs, camping, hunting, just being outside. But if truth be told, I spend a lot of time. My favorite place is sitting in the island of my kitchen. And my kids do homework there. When my husband gets home from work and I'm cooking dinner, he sits there. It's kind of like, our little hub, right? And when I was younger, even before I had kids, I always had dreamed about being the place where all the other kids came to, or, I always wanted it to be somewhat chaotic. And I think I kind of got that dream, except for I didn't know it came with a super messy house. And my house is always messy because of it. But I love sitting there on the island with the kids, either doing their homework or with their friends, and they're coming in and out of the house. And I'm cooking dinner, sipping on a glass of wine, or having friends come over, just sitting there. It really is my favorite spot, just because it's like that central hub of our little family and our little friend circle. And so that I'm there most often when I'm not working, if I'm not, enjoying the outdoors.
That sounds like really cool. Like heart fuel.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we have time for our last walk-off home run question here, which is,
Okay.
what advice would you give someone just starting out in the industry?
If you're just starting out, you likely don't yet recognize how much you can learn. You know, your role is so much bigger than what you think it is, or your opportunities for knowledge are so much bigger. You know, during my time, I have learned more about insurance and investment and marketing and accounting. I mean, all these things that I would have no idea that when I took a leasing consultant job that I would have known. And I think that if you're willing to engage and pick and learn and ask questions, you can become so well-rounded. I mean, these are skill sets that sometimes you have to go get a degree in. And, you know, maybe my marketing team wouldn't agree, but I think that, you know, I've learned more about marketing than I would think that some marketing students do, just from being in it, engulfed in it, hands-on. And so I just think that there is so much to learn about business management and all that there is connected to our industry. And if you take that opportunity to ask questions and, you know, to engage in those other roles, then there's just so much for there to be learned. And I'm going to cheat and I'm going to give you one other thing though, because I also think it's super important to not burn bridges. And I don't mean that necessarily in a negative way, but I think that we are so connected and there's so much and we have so much to offer and there's so many opportunities that link off of this. So just, I don't know, show up, do the right thing, treat others the way you want to be treated. And you could, this industry, you could catapult into anything. So just show up, learn lots, do the right thing, don't burn bridges. And I think that, you know, you could go anywhere.
That's awesome. Amie, if I had a bat, I'd hit it right now. Home run. Just appreciate you. Everything you shared. Love those tips. You're exactly right. You can get a master's in this industry, you know, by being in it. And you've just been phenomenal. Thank you again. And I'm excited for you as our president-elect as well for the apartment.
Well, thank you guys so much. This was so great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. Remember to be grateful for everything. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Amie.
Bye.